bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Welcome to Editorial, Millennium News 24/7. This is Tofader Noor from our United States studio. Viewers, so many things happening these days. Russia, Ukraine, Poland, NATO's, European Union, United States, Russia vs Syria, Russia vs Israel, Russia vs Libya, and United States vs Yemen. We're going to bring all traffic, all news for you. We have our guest today, our Westchester County White Plain, Mr. George Ortega. He is our good friend, our network. George, welcome to Editorial.
Thank you, Noor. Nice to be back.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you very much. You know, George, so many disasters happening worldwide. Our politician doing nothing, and probably this politician is lousy. They do not know how to stop the fight, how to stop the war. So what do you think? How we can be safe side? Is going to be Third World War or what?
Well, it depends on what happens here in the United States. Basically, right now, arms manufacturers are getting countries to deliver arms to the Ukraine so they can extend this fight, make money on this war, and extend the war to protect Trump. So if we're going to prevent a third world war, what we need to do is take it a few steps back. In other words, like if Trump goes free, if he's allowed to invade our Capitol building, literally attempt to overthrow our government and is allowed to go free, then that spells doom for democracy. I don't have to remind the audience that in 2018, Xi Jinping declared himself a dictator, an autocrat. And so like Trump tried this on his own in 2021, we're living in a world where we have to take things in steps. We have to first prosecute Trump, then we can get the money behind Trump, the people behind Trump out of politics. That means also reforming the Democratic Party. And then we have the will and then the resources, the right kind of leaders to take on the problem throughout the world. And the one other thing is like it extends beyond Republicans. The The Democratic Party is controlled by the rich also, and once they prosecute and hold the Republicans accountable for January 6th, we have to hold them responsible for getting money out of politics and doing what they promise us that they will do.
George, you bring the Trump. He is not fighting with any country. He fight with his own country. He do not fight Yemen. He do not fight Afghan, Iraq, Syria, Libya, even Ukraine. So what is the issue? He destroy our capital city. He try to destroy democracy. This is his issue. This is his fault. But I am talking the surrounding the world. Who make it these things? Trump?
Well, nor yes, it goes far beyond January 6th. You have to understand that Putin was very helpful to Trump in gaining election in 2016. And so basically this is basically Putin going to war with the Ukraine is Putin's way of thanking Trump for that. The quid pro quo, essentially. And basically, that's what people have to understand, that this isn't just a coincidence that before this year, where we have to put Trump on trial, that Putin starts a war in Ukraine. It's orchestrated. Trump is behind it.
Of course you remember, after 9/11, our that time President George W. Bush, that time when he attacked Iraq, Afghanistan, and he have a good partner, good friend, Putin, Russian president. That time, what he did, he came every month in Western White House, he make in Texas. Every month, Russian president came, and they have a gathering over there. And George W. Bush helped Putin to how to get the gas and oil from their ocean, Arctic. And he sent all our American crews, American companies to Russia, how to build the oil. They make it, Since 2001, Russian president, he is using our IT, our experience, our money, our brain, everything. But our president and our national security, they do not understood. From 2001 to as of today, he is the president of Russia. He is the dictator. But Donald Trump is not a dictator. He only for 4 years. But he tried to be do something for another term. But he can't. And you are talking, he destroying the world. He is not a destroying the world, George.
Well, he won't, because we can't afford that. We cannot afford a third world war. We can't afford for him to embolden dictators like Putin and Jinping. That's so to the extent that we don't prosecute him, we're telling the world democracy is over, and so we're not going to do that. I have great faith that this country is not going to allow Trump to ruin this country and the world.
Yeah, you are right. But once his policy, Donald Trump policy, is not good for NATO and European Union, his term, you know that. And he have a good relationship with Russian president. And he tried to make some kind of, jeopardy in Ukraine, his time, some kind of lie investigation. But he get his own problem. He make his own problem. would, Democrat, Independents, Republican, they do not make it. He make it himself. So right now, if he's the president, Russia is not attack Ukraine. This is his boys, Republican boys, Republican Party boys. What do you think?
Trump is certainly the voice of the Republican Party, and here is where we see how truthful, honest, patriotic the Democrats are, or how corrupt they are. Because essentially, the evidence for imprisoning Trump for January 6th could not be stronger. Let me just lay out a case very briefly. Basically, he assembled his mob outside of the Capitol building. No reasonable person would expect that they're just standing there and yelling would have done anything to either delay or stop those certification confirmation proceedings. Trump knew that. Trump knew that to send his mob out there and they're just going to stand there and yell, he knew that wouldn't be enough. So he knew that in order for them to have any impact that day, they would have to become violent. That is the evidence for prosecuting Trump. And we will see over this next year. It is so clear cut, so open and shut that the Democrats, if they are not completely corrupt, they have no choice but to convict Trump for treason, imprison him for the rest of his life.
George, we're going to go another subject. Russia urged China to supply arms and ammunition and soldier to Russia. Do you heard these things? Is going to be, if they supply the arms, ammunition and soldier, is going to be Third World War. What do you think?
I don't think so. I mean, like we talked about this before. Zelensky, I mean, he's the comedian. What he should have done is surrender, because the Russian army can overpower the Ukrainian army even without China's help. But you understand, that China and Russia made a pact, a military pact. I believe it may have been 2018, it might have been more recently. And so basically, while Ukraine's allies are arming them, yes, China will probably, I wouldn't be surprised if China began to arm Russia under their pact. And because Ukraine is not part of NATO, there's nothing we can do about it. So we basically have to wait until the sanctions, the economic sanctions, have their desired effects. And that is how we prevent the Third World War. Because if we don't bring Putin down, because now it's not just about Trump, we have to show the world that we will not tolerate Putin either. So if we don't bring Putin down, we have a Third World War. That's why his days are numbered. We can't afford to have a country invading sovereign states, not in this world.
Probably you know that Russia bombing western Ukraine, close to the 15 miles away from the Poland, and they bombing army training center. Over there, hundreds of US army, hundreds of NATO's army training the Ukrainian army. Almost 135 people's army soldiers died, and the media told us over 200 is wounded, but God knows how many is wounded. So they already start to fight with NATO. Is NATO's border 15 miles away from the NATO, Poland border. So if they bombing the Poland, what going to be happen?
Well, naturally, if they invade Poland, then Poland is our ally. They're a part of NATO. Then that means we in the United States are part of this. So I don't think Putin is is destructive enough, is like stupid enough to do that. He knows that our military is much greater, stronger than Russia's and China's and every other country in the world combined. Putin understands that. So I mean, like, but you know what's unfortunate, Noor, is that this could have been avoided. What the Ukrainians should have done was kind of like what the Indians did in the time of Gandhi to get their freedom from the Great Britain. They were pacifist. You know, the Ukrainians should have surrendered. It would have completely shamed Putin, completely shamed Russia. But the rich orchestrated this. They wanted to distract us from Trump. So they are the reason for this. And again, if Putin is stupid enough to invade Poland, then Russia is history much sooner than it would be otherwise. Either way, whether he invades or not, you know, his time is done. He's too much of a danger to the region. We will not allow that.
You are right, but you know, these days we are scared. We don't want to see any kind of third world war. You know, he's already threatening nuclear war, and he have a nuclear, probably whole of the world, whatever have, and he have more than that. So he can destroy whole of the world if he want. So he already threatening. So we don't want any kind of fight, man. But if China helps, probably is going to be worse things we're going to see. You know, what do you think?
And I think Putin is bluffing with the nuclear weapons because he knows we know exactly where he is. Our satellites cover him. There's no time that we don't know exactly where he is. So he knows that if he were to start a nuclear war, he would be our first target. That's why he's not going to go nuclear.
You know, our IT, like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, and also Meta, also our oil companies, and McDonald's, Burger King, they withdraw from Russia, totally withdraw, not stop, withdraw last night. And Russia, thousands of people is going to be jobless. Thousands of people going to be hunger. Do you think they can survive? How long they can survive? If McDonald's, they have a 36,000 McDonald's in Russia, 36,000. And think about it, how many workers? And same thing Burger King. All oil companies, Shell, BP, Amoco, and some other company too. Already 6 company, they totally withdraw from Russia. So their economy is going to be collapsed. Their financial sector is collapsed already. Their stock exchange still is closed. They never open when they start the war. So they can survive. How long they can survive?
Yeah, and you know, I hope it doesn't take long. I hope it's a matter of months because, you know, we here in the United States, we want our freedom from Great Britain with a revolution, a military revolution. This economic embargo, economic sanctions is a way for the Ukrainian people to be free of Putin in a way that, yes, it's an economic hardship. They're going to go through, you know, hard months, but it's much preferable to their, you know, to the war, to the battle that just goes on and on, like Afghanistan and parts of the world that have been ravaged by the rich people in the West.
You know, another topic. We make alliance. We cut off from France and we make the alliance Britain, Australia, India, and United States is part of Western Alliance. But India is not a part of United States. India always be with Russia. How our president, how our administration, they thinking India gonna help us?
Well, India, the poor countries of the world, both large and small, as well as China and Russia and the United States, Europe, we're all going to have to come together because, like, as serious as this invasion of Ukraine seems, as serious as Trump's threat seems, the existential threat we have looming over us for decades is climate change. So, in other words, like, we're in a situation with climate change where either the world makes it or nobody makes it. And if nobody makes it, these poor countries, all over the world, then they have a reason to terrorize the rich countries, for these dwindling resources, dwindling water supplies, food supplies. So basically, we will have to unite India, China, Russia, democratic countries. We cannot afford autocracies anymore, or at the very least, they have to do what needs to be done. But this is the future we're headed, and that's why we either come together as a world, both rich and poor, against these dictators, against people like Putin and Trump, or we have much more, to dread, in the coming decades from climate change.
Whatever Ukraine happened, millions of people now sheltering Poland, Romania, Hungary, Moldova, those countries. And some is moving from Poland to Germany and Spain, Austria, some other nations. But Great Britain and France, Great Britain take 700 some and France taking 500 some already. So millions of people is coming, but they are not taking. Reason? These people, they don't have an ID card, they don't have a passport, they don't have anything. How they can, shelter with France and England? These people fight for their life. They left everything. Now they're looking for identity card, they're looking for passport to support them. Otherwise, they cannot get it. So what kind of democracy we have? Todd?
Yeah. No,
George?
I mean, in a certain sense, the Ukrainians have to blame themselves for, electing a comedian as the president, for going to war. Again, I suggested they surrender. Now, it's unfortunate. The political dynamics in those countries, Britain and France, yes, they have different kinds of governments, and I don't know what each of them will do. But I know that is basically addressing the need now without addressing the root cause. So in other words, what I'm saying is yes, that needs to be done, but let's focus on what we really need to do. Noor, this is like a game of chess. It's not so opaque, so easy to understand. In other words, if we want to help the Ukrainians both today and tomorrow, we must imprison Trump. And the way we imprison Trump is for people to understand that day he expected his mob to become violent. It wasn't a surprise. He knew that if they didn't become violent, then nothing would happen. So that is the messaging. That is the message that we here in the United States need to hear and understand, and the world needs to hear and understand, because once we understand that, then Trump will go to prison. Once he goes to prison, then we can begin to correct the horrible problems we're discussing that basically are caused by Trump, Putin, and especially the rich.
You know, George, I'm gonna go another side of the world, Afghanistan. Right now, thousands of people dying COVID-19. Also, thousands of people dying without food. So, what is our NATO's, Western Alliance, America, Canada, Australia doing? They're going to help these people, or the country is like hell to like a Syria or Ukraine?
Nor my main focus for decades has been global poverty. And yes, Afghanistan is bad. Sub-Saharan Africa, those countries are worse. Their children are dying at a rate of 30,000 each day from largely poverty, of preventable poverty, poverty we could easily end. Now, our newspapers don't talk about it, our magazines, our news shows don't want us to care about those people. So it extends far beyond Afghanis. The people throughout the world are being ignored by the rich in this country and in other countries because they don't want to foot the bill. They have more than enough to develop the economies of Afghanistan, of the African countries, but they are too greedy and too selfish to want to do that. So yes, Afghanistan is a problem, but the bigger problem is that we must release, just like we took control over Russian assets, recently. We have to gain the political will, the understanding that if our world is going to succeed, if we're going to go into this next century, tackling climate change, ending poverty, we need to hold the rich accountable. We need to use their money to end this poverty.
You talking the environment and climate is not going to be happen soon. Reason, whole of the world is fighting each other. Not only Ukraine, you can see 1949 to as of today, Palestine and Israel. Innocent Palestinian young boy and young ladies and elderly person dying for their land. Also, we are bombing in Yemen. We destroy whole Yemen. They don't have any house, they don't have anything. Now we are bombing on mountain. These people living in the mountain and we bombing in the mountain. And we start to fight another country. Last few days, if you know that, Somalia. United States bombing Somalia. So, already they have so many disasters. Yemen, Syria, Libya, Afghanistan, Iraq, they're getting their own. They don't care anything. They're getting day by day strong. They can build their country. They have oil. They can sell the oil and they can build their country. But why we are starting to fight against Somalia? We destroy already so many countries. We never going to be learned or what?
Well, Noor, you're right that action on climate change isn't going to happen soon because a lot has to happen. Yes, we're all fighting each other. Why is that? Because the rich have been promoting and orchestrating this divide and conquer strategy for decades. They get country to fight country. This war between Russia and Ukraine is a war that the rich started. When we finally wake up and realize that the rich of this world in every country are the most dangerous terrorist organization on the planet, really the only one, because they call all the shots. Once people understand that, then yes, we will stop fighting each other. We'll all band together against the rich, and that's when good things will happen.
We hope our leaders and our world community is going to be learned. We don't like to see Third World War. Viewers, we like to see whole world peace and love. George, we're going to finish soon. Tell us your views, what is going on Ukraine and around the world in our viewers.
Well, I mean, we all understand the problems. You go over them a lot in detail. So let's focus a bit on the solution. And it's somewhat counterintuitive, but the reality is that it's a step-by-step process. We indict, convict, and imprison Trump. Then we hold the Republican Party accountable. Then we force the Democrats to win by landslide margins in November, and then we can begin to address all these problems throughout the world. Unless and until that happens, very little will happen. Once that happens, so much that we've talked about that needs to happen can finally happen.
Viewers, our good friend, our network, George Ortega, he's talking what's happened, 2021, January 6, Republican and Republican followers, they destroy our capital city. And so many people died. Thousands is wounded. They are hospitalized. And so many lawsuits already filed against Trump. Hopefully, our justice department is going to be work with people can get justice, people can have a faith with our justice department. Viewers, our friend talking about Ukraine and globally. Our people have to be understood, living their neighbor, big country, powerful country, have to be talk with them, fish with them, love with them. They are powerful country in the world, Russia, China, United States. If we do not respect our neighbor, we do not love our neighbor, how they gonna survive? They are a small country, poor country, and they don't, whatever we have, they don't have it. But we have a power. We like to destroy our neighbor. We like to destroy their country, their people. Is not good. Anyway, viewers, our time is end for today's editorial. Please watch Millennium News 24/7 and editorial, all iOS and Android device, all smart TVs, and also Amazon Fire TV, Roku TV, Apple TV, Amazon Stick, Roku Stick. Also, we are on all social network, Millennium News 24/7, our YouTube channel, News Channel M24, our website millenniumnews24.com and millenniumtv24.com. Viewers, whatever you are, please stay peace, love and happiness. Goodbye and take care for today.